You've been told a lie so subtle, so deeply embedded into the fabric of your perception, that it governs nearly every decision you make, without you even knowing it. The lie is this: that time is a straight line, that the future lies ahead, the past behind, and your miracle somewhere down the road, waiting for you to catch up, once you've healed enough, learned enough, suffered enough. But what if the miracle you seek isn't ahead of you at all? What if it's beside you, or even closer? This isn't just a philosophical question, it's quantum. According to classical physics, time ticks forward like a clock. Cause precedes effect. But in the quantum realm, cause and effect blur. Time doesn't move, it's already there, all of it, right now. Every possible version of you, the one who failed, the one who gave up, the one who transcended everything and lives in freedom, all of them coexist in what physicists call a superposition of states. Not metaphorically, literally. But here's the mind twist. Just because these versions exist doesn't mean you'll experience them. Most people live on autopilot, imprisoned by memory and conditioned emotion, replaying the same timeline like a scratched record. They're not creating the future, they're recreating the past. Over and over, different faces, same story, different goals, same limitation. Why? Because their body is addicted to an identity that's anchored in linear time. And as long as you believe time is something you chase, you'll always be behind your miracle. Think about this. When you set an intention to heal, to succeed, to find love, where do you place it? In the future, out there, later. It becomes a fantasy, a distant destination. And that very act of projecting it forward collapses you into a timeline where it is always not yet. That's not manifestation. That's energetic self-sabotage disguised as hope. Quantum physics doesn't support this linear model. According to Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, we cannot determine both the position and the velocity of a particle at the same time. Translation: the moment you try to predict where your future is, you alter it. And more importantly, the observer, you, becomes the determinant of what collapses into form. Time is not flowing past you. You're the one flowing through a multidimensional field, tuning into different coordinates based on your state of consciousness. But wait, that's not the real revelation. Because if time isn't linear, then what is it? It's vibrational. Each version of your life, the one where you struggle, the one where you rise, the one where you thrive, exists as a distinct vibrational signature within the quantum field. Your miracle doesn't unfold through time. It unfolds through frequency. And the only real question is, are you in coherence with it or in resistance to it? This is where spiritual masters and quantum scientists converge. Neville Goddard said, "Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled." Dr. Joe Dispenza explains that your electromagnetic field shifts the moment your thoughts and emotions synchronize with a desired reality. They're not just being poetic, they're being precise. Because your body, your nervous system, your heart rhythm, your brain waves, is the radio tower through which you tune into timelines. Every thought emits a signal. Every emotion amplifies it. And every belief either aligns or distorts the signal completely. Now imagine you're standing in front of a mirror maze. Each mirror reflects a version of you. Some broken, some brilliant. You're not moving through time, you're moving through versions. And with every shift in your vibration, you face a new reflection. But if you keep staring at the mirror called not enough, not ready, too late, guess what reflection you keep seeing? That same limitation, over and over again, dressed in new disguises. Here's the pattern interrupt. Time is not your obstacle, identity is. You don't need more time to become who you already are. You need more presence. The paradox: the more you chase, the more you delay. The more you allow, the more you align. But most people don't allow. They analyze. They overthink. They try to earn what was always meant to be received. And so, they lock themselves into a timeline of effort and exhaustion, never realizing that the timeline of their miracle is available now, but invisible to their current state. That's the glitch in the matrix. The timeline already exists, but you can't perceive it through the lens of your current vibration. You don't need to change the world around you. You need to collapse the version of you who keeps choosing delay. That's the real quantum shift. Because here's a truth few are ready to hear. Your miracle doesn't require time. It requires a new relationship with time. One where you become the frequency of the already done. And what happens when you do? When you stop outsourcing your power to the future, that's when time starts to bend. Opportunities you never expected show up. People arrive with answers you hadn't asked yet. Synchronicities flood your path like clues from a timeline you didn't know you were walking into. Not because you forced it, but because you tuned into it. But that's just the beginning. Because once you understand that the future isn't in front of you, you'll begin to feel the presence of something ancient, something divine, not waiting in the distance, but whispering through your field right now. And in the next segment, you'll discover what that whisper actually is. A vibrational blueprint stored in the quantum field. Already complete, already done, already yours. If you can learn how to select it, there is a field that holds every possibility you've ever dreamed of, and far more than you've dared to imagine. A field where your success, your healing, your abundance, your deepest desires, all of it, already exists. Not as hopeful projections or future goals, but as completed frequencies. Waiting, and not waiting in time, waiting in vibration. You're not here to create them in the way we've been taught. You're here to tune into what's already done. This is not philosophy. This is physics. According to quantum mechanics, particles don't have fixed locations until they are observed. Until then, they exist as waves of probability, pure potential. What collapses them into form? The act of observation. The moment consciousness interacts with the field, the wave becomes a particle. Choice becomes matter. And this is where your desire lives, not as a thing to chase, but as a wave to collapse. Let's break this down. In classical thinking, you visualize your dream and then work toward it, step by step. But in quantum reality, all versions of that dream already exist in the field, with differing degrees of alignment. Some timelines are chaotic, some are blissful, some are beyond anything your logical mind can map. But they're not hidden behind effort. They're hidden behind frequency incompatibility. You're not becoming the version who lives the miracle. You're remembering how to match their signature. Here's the key. The field doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you are. Your current vibration, the emotion you wake up with, the identity you return to, the unconscious state you embody. That's the tuning fork. And while your conscious mind may say, I want healing, your field might be saying, I am broken. And so the quantum responds, not to your request, but to your resonance. This is why the law of attraction, when not understood through quantum eyes, becomes frustrating. People think they're manifesting by wishing, when in truth, they're reinforcing the separation. I want is not the same as I am, and until your inner state, your felt, lived, embodied state, shifts, the field has no reason to collapse a new version of reality. Here's the metaphor. You're not programming the universe like a computer. You're playing a radio. The songs are already recorded. Your job is to tune the dial. Now, what if I told you that the desire you feel is not random, that your longing is a signal, not a need, but a memory, a kind of vibrational déjà vu echoing from a version of you that already exists in the field? That ache you feel when you dream about the life you haven't lived is actually feedback. It's the friction between who you are now and the frequency of what's already true in another version of you. That's why desire feels electric. It's not just imagination, it's resonance. You're brushing up against a timeline that's already playing. But if you remain attached to your current story, your current identity, pain, past, you stay tuned to a station that doesn't carry your miracle. This is where the teachings of spiritual mystics like Neville Goddard meet the edge of quantum possibility. When Neville spoke of living in the end, he wasn't speaking of blind faith. He was pointing to a scientific fact. Consciousness collapses probability. To assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled is not to pretend. It's to command the field to synchronize with your chosen timeline. And the moment you fully become the version who has it, the field has no choice but to reflect it. Let's pause here, because this is where most people fall into the trap. They say the affirmations, they visualize, they try to feel as if, but underneath it all, they still identify as the one who lacks. And the field doesn't listen to surface thoughts, it listens to subtle frequency. If the body still carries the emotional signature of the old story, unworthiness, fear, impatience, then the dominant signal is not I have, it's I'm trying to have, and trying delays collapsing. Here's the incomplete puzzle your logical mind can't solve. You cannot collapse a reality from a place of needing it. You can only collapse it from a place of already being it. And how do you do that when your senses scream otherwise? When your bank account is low, when your body still hurts, when your partner hasn't come? You stop arguing with the field. You stop using your five senses as evidence and start using your state of being as command. You become a vibrational anomaly, someone who dares to feel fulfilled while nothing has changed. That's not delusion. That's coherence. Because in the quantum realm, energy precedes form. And if you can hold the frequency, even while the outer world stays the same, you begin to bend the mirror. That's when the shift starts. Synchronicities emerge. People you couldn't have planned for appear. Ideas flow that seem too perfect to be coincidence. And it's not because you figured it out, it's because you tuned in. The field is intelligent. It responds to your coherence, not your effort. This is why Joe Dispenza speaks so often of heart-brain harmony, not because it sounds poetic, but because when your electromagnetic field enters resonance, you become a coherent signal within the quantum sea. And coherent signals collapse probability faster. It's not mystical, it's measurable. But here's what most still miss. This isn't about manifesting one thing, money, love, success. It's about remembering that you are a timeline selector, not a timeline builder. You're not building the bridge brick by brick. You're shifting the frequency that determines which bridge you're already walking on. Your desire is not something you fulfill, it's something you align with. And the only reason it feels distant is because you're still trying to reach for what you're meant to radiate. So the question is no longer, how do I make it happen? The question is, what version of me is it already true for? Because that version isn't imaginary. They're real, they're alive, and they are you, in a slightly different frequency band, one decision away, one shift away. And in the next part, we go deeper into the very mechanics of that shift. What happens inside your brain, your field, your identity, the moment you stop wanting the miracle and start being it? There's a question that echoes across spiritual teachings and quantum science alike. A question that, once answered, changes everything. What if reality isn't responding to your goals, but to your identity? You see, most people are trapped in the loop of wanting, trying to manifest from a place of lack, begging the universe with affirmations while internally vibrating as someone still searching. But here's the truth hidden in plain sight. The field doesn't respond to your requests. It mirrors your signal. And your signal is not your words, not your thoughts, not even your vision board. It's your state. So let's go to the root. Every moment, your body emits a frequency, an electromagnetic signature, based on the harmony or disharmony between your thoughts and emotions. When you think one thing but feel another, like visualizing abundance while feeling doubt, your signal becomes incoherent. It's static. The field doesn't read your desires. It reads your coherence. Dr. Joe Dispenza calls this neurochemical alignment. Your brain is a prediction machine, and your body becomes the record of the past. When you wake up and immediately feel stress, replay memories, check your problems, you're literally rehearsing the same signal as yesterday. That's not fate, that's familiarity. And that familiar frequency becomes your default portal, a gate to the same timeline, the same outcomes, the same limits. Here's the deeper pattern. Your nervous system is loyal to your identity. Even if your mind dreams of something new, your body clings to what's known. Why? Because survival isn't wired for fulfillment, it's wired for familiarity. The known, even if painful, feels safer than the unknown miracle. So the moment you try to shift into a new state, joy, worthiness, peace, your system rebels. That's not resistance from the universe. That's withdrawal from your old self. Let that sink in. Your discomfort isn't a sign that the shift isn't working. It's a sign that it is. Now, what's the quantum implication of this? Let's return to the double-slit experiment, the backbone of quantum weirdness. A particle behaves like a wave, and until observed, that act of observation collapses it into form. But what if you are the observer, not just of particles, but of your entire reality? Then your observation, your dominant state, becomes the lens through which the field collapses outcomes. You are not looking at the world, you are generating it. That's not metaphor, it's mechanics. Neville Goddard said, "Your assumption, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact." This isn't spiritual optimism, it's neurological programming. When you assume a new state, your brain begins to prune old synaptic connections and forge new ones. Your heart shifts rhythm. Your field broadcasts a new signal, and the quantum responds, not to your timeline, but to your transmission. Let's shift from concept to application. Picture a radio trying to tune into 98.7 FM while still broadcasting 88.1. It doesn't work. The songs are real, the station exists, but until the frequency matches, you get noise. That's what most people's manifestation process looks like. Broadcasting one signal while trying to receive another, and then they wonder why nothing changes. It's not that their desires don't exist, and it's that they're not being the version who receives them. So what does it actually mean to become the signal? It means living from the version of you who already has it, not toward it. It means waking up and choosing the state first, even when circumstances haven't caught up. It means activating gratitude before the evidence, embodying certainty before the proof, stepping into joy before the outcome. That's not delusion, that's frequency leadership, and that's the gate. And yes, it will feel unnatural at first, because you're not just shifting mood, you're dismantling decades of programming. Every time you hold the new state, even for a few seconds, you create coherence. And with coherence comes magnetism. HeartMath Institute has proven that the heart's electromagnetic field is thousands of times stronger than the brain's. When the heart and brain align, when thought and emotion converge, you generate a coherent signal that the quantum responds to like a tuning fork. It's not magic, it's mechanics. And the implications are life-altering. Because once you become that signal, once you are the version, instead of trying to reach them, the field no longer sees a seeker. It sees a match, and matches are magnetic. That's why timelines don't unfold through action alone. They unfold through vibrational permission. But here's the twist most don't expect. This isn't just about tuning in once. The shift isn't a moment, it's a muscle. And this is where neuroscience meets initiation. The longer you hold the new state, despite the old story, despite the triggers, despite the evidence, the more your brain rewires, the more your body remembers. And eventually, the old identity loses its grip, not through force, but through frequency decay. It's not your job to destroy your past. It's your job to starve it. Every time you choose presence over panic, clarity over confusion, trust over control, you starve the vibration of delay and feed the vibration of alignment. This is the true alchemy, not turning lead into gold, but turning state into signal and signal into shift. And now, we stand on the edge of the most important truth yet, because becoming the signal is only half of it. Once you are the signal, you gain the power to jump timelines, not metaphorically, literally. And in the next chapter, you'll discover the mechanics of that jump, how to collapse your current trajectory, shift frequencies, and enter the reality that has been waiting, not in time, but in vibration. There comes a moment in every spiritual path and every quantum awakening when you no longer ask if it's possible, but how soon you're willing to let it happen. That moment is a threshold, not of effort, but of embodiment. And those who cross it do so not by force, but by frequency shift. This is the true art of timeline jumping. the ability to collapse the delay between who you are and who you're becoming, not by doing more, but by vibrating differently. But what does that actually mean? Let's strip away the metaphors and go straight into the quantum mechanics. In the field of quantum physics, particles exist in a state of superposition, meaning multiple potential outcomes exist at once. Only when observed do they collapse into one. Now imagine this at the level of your life. You're not moving through time choosing outcomes. You're vibrating through possibilities, selecting realities. That's not just poetic, it's functional. And here's where it gets fascinating. You don't have to wait for the miracle, because the miracle doesn't arrive. You do. You arrive in the frequency where it already exists. But this shift doesn't happen through more information. It happens through identity interruption. Most people unknowingly reinforce their current timeline by reactivating the same personality every morning. Same emotions, same habits, same beliefs. They don't realize they're re-entering a frequency field that is tuned to limitation, lack, or waiting. And so, despite vision boards and meditations, nothing actually shifts. Not because the desire is wrong, but because the signal never changed. Here's the pattern interrupt. You don't need to become better to jump timelines. You need to become different, vibrationally. And difference begins with decision. The moment you decide to leave the old state, to no longer emotionally invest in that identity, you fracture the loop, you disrupt the signal, and the universe, ever responsive, begins to reorganize around the new frequency you embody. This reorganization often appears as chaos at first. Lost jobs, changed relationships, emotional release. Not because something's going wrong, but because something outdated is collapsing. Let's go deeper. In neuroscience, a concept called neuroplasticity proves that the brain is always rewiring. Every thought, every choice, every emotion carves new synaptic paths. That means every time you consciously feel abundance, peace, or love, without needing external validation, you're not faking it. You're firing and wiring a new version of self, a self that lives on a different timeline, a self that magnetizes instead of chases, and over time, that neural signature becomes your default identity. But you have to stay in the fire long enough to burn the bridges behind you. This is where most people hesitate. They want the new reality without letting go of the emotions tied to the old one. But you can't bring survival-based emotions, fear, guilt, resentment, into a timeline built on coherence and joy. They don't resonate. They don't exist there. If you try to carry the old story now, you get ejected from the frequency like static on a clear signal. So, the real question becomes, what are you willing to stop rehearsing? What emotion are you ready to retire? What version of self are you ready to no longer energize? Because the moment you stop rehearsing the pain, the waiting, the doubt, you stop voting for the timeline where that's your norm, and you start activating the version of you who doesn't just believe in the miracle, but lives it. That's when you start collapsing time, not through urgency, but through vibrational velocity. The more coherent your signal, the faster the quantum responds. That's not control, that's congruence. It's like a lock and key. The timeline already exists, but only one version of you holds the vibrational key that fits. And when you become that version, emotionally, somatically, neurologically, the door doesn't just open, it disappears. Because you're no longer outside trying to enter, you're already inside. But don't confuse effort with alignment. Timeline jumping isn't about high performance. It's about energetic permission. You don't have to climb your way into a better future. You just have to stop blocking what's already present. And what blocks it isn't lack. It's loyalty. Loyalty to a self-image that was constructed in survival. Loyalty to beliefs inherited from people who didn't know they were dreaming inside a matrix. Loyalty to patterns that felt familiar, but never fulfilled. It's time to break that loyalty, to interrupt the program, to update the signal. Because the field isn't responding to what you hope for. It's mirroring the identity you keep funding with your attention. Attention is currency in the quantum, and wherever it flows, reality grows. So take it back. Pull your attention away from what hasn't happened yet, from who hasn't changed yet, from what's missing, broken, delayed. Withdraw your energy from the version of you that's still waiting for permission and reinvest it into the one who's already chosen, the one who already lives there, breathes there, radiates there, because that version is real. And right now, they're sending you a signal. The only reason you can feel this message is because you're already connected. You're not becoming, you're remembering. And here's where you take it further. If you truly want to shift timelines, here's your first micro jump. Right now, in the comments, declare it. Speak it into the field. Anchor it with identity. Type in the comments, I'm no longer waiting, I'm tuning in. Because that's the shift. The timeline of your miracle isn't about what changes around you. It's about what changes within you. And once you embody the state, the signal sharpens, the noise fades, and you become magnetically incompatible with anything that doesn't match your next level. And in the next chapter, we'll break the final illusion, the myth of delay. You'll see why nothing is missing, why your miracle isn't late, and why time isn't your enemy, but your echo. You've been told to wait, that your manifestation is on its way, that the universe is working behind the scenes, aligning the right people, the right timing, the right circumstances. And while that may feel comforting, here's the raw truth. The delay you feel is not divine timing. It's vibrational misalignment. Your miracle isn't late. It's simply unavailable to the version of you who still believes it is. Let's deconstruct this with clarity. In the Newtonian model, the one most of us were raised in, reality is cause and effect. You take an action, wait for the result. But in the quantum model, that order collapses. Reality isn't created sequentially. It's selected vibrationally. The field doesn't need time to deliver your desire. It needs coherence. And coherence can happen in a second. The illusion of delay is not a function of time. It's a symptom of dissonance. Your conscious mind may say yes, but if your subconscious still holds patterns of doubt, fear, or lack, you'll feel the gap between what you want and what you're being. That's not punishment, that's feedback. The field is not withholding, it's mirroring. You are not waiting on the universe. You are waiting on the version of you who matches the miracle to emerge. Now here's the paradox that keeps most people stuck. The more you believe your desire is far away, the more you anchor into the version of you who doesn't have it. You start narrating the absence. It's not here yet. I must be blocked. Maybe I'm not ready. Each of these thoughts is a vote for a timeline where the miracle stays distant. But what if I told you that the moment you feel something is missing, you've already shifted out of the timeline where it was fulfilled? That's the delay illusion. Not that the miracle is unavailable, but that you're no longer tuned to the version of you who had already received it. Let's go deeper. Quantum entanglement shows us that particles can be connected across space and time. Shift one, and the other responds instantly, even across galaxies. You and your miracle are entangled in the same way. They are not separate from you. But when you identify as the version who doesn't have it, you collapse the timeline where it's already real. Here's the pattern interrupt. What if nothing is missing? What if everything you seek exists in the field right now, just slightly out of phase with your current vibration? That means your work is not to chase the desire, but to become the one for whom it is inevitable. This is where the spiritual teaching of letting go becomes quantum precision. Letting go isn't abandoning your desire. It's releasing the version of you who believes it's not already true. It's dropping the emotional signature of separation. When you let go of needing it, you stop vibrating at not having, and suddenly, the gap collapses. Dr. Bruce Lipton says that your biology is a printout of your subconscious programs. But more than that, your perception creates the biochemical signals your body sends into the field. If you feel frustrated, impatient, or not there yet, your body sends signals of lack, stress, and urgency. The quantum responds, not to your timeline, but to your emotional chemistry. So how do you shift? You break the loop of waiting by disrupting the belief that there's something to wait for. You stop orienting yourself around someday and start anchoring into already, not as a trick, not as a performance, but as a deep, vibrational knowing that the field is instant. and it's only your identity that lags. Here's an analogy. Imagine the quantum field like a massive jukebox filled with infinite songs, each one a timeline, a life, a version of you. Your current emotions, thoughts, and assumptions are the coins you insert. They don't choose the song you want. They play the song you match. And if you keep inserting the coin of "it's not here yet," the field will keep playing variations of delay, almost, not yet. You have to insert the coin of certainty, of peace, of enoughness. And here's the missing piece. When you shift your internal state to match the frequency of already done, your brain stops looking for confirmation. Your body stops scanning for evidence. And in that stillness, in that coherence, the field collapses the timeline into form. Why? Because you're no longer contradicting the signal. You're no longer living in two worlds. One of belief, one of doubt. You've unified, and unification is the bridge. That's why presence is not a spiritual cliché. It's a quantum tool. The present moment is the only place where your signal is fully active. The past is memory. The future is projection. But now is where vibration becomes command. And when you learn to dwell in the now as if it's already true, you override the delay matrix entirely. So ask yourself, what am I assuming still needs to happen before I can feel the frequency of the fulfilled? That question reveals your energetic delay points. Maybe you're waiting for money to feel abundant, for love to feel worthy, for health to feel empowered. But the field doesn't work that way. It's not conditional. It's coherent. And the moment you remove your conditions, you release resistance. You become an open circuit, receptive, radiant, tuned. And suddenly, life moves. Fast. Timelines shift. People call. Opportunities open. But it's not because you earned it. It's because you finally stopped emitting the vibration that kept it in the almost. And that brings us to the final phase of this journey, the actual portal. Because knowing the field exists is one thing, embodying the state is another. But now, you're ready for the activation. In the next chapter, we go beyond knowledge. You'll receive a practical and quantum-aligned ritual, one that allows you to shift your state, collapse the current version of you, and fully enter the miracle timeline. Because after all this, you're not meant to keep studying the quantum. You're meant to become it. At this point, you're not just hearing a message, you're remembering a truth. One that has always lived inside you, encoded in your field, beyond the noise of your mind. The truth that your miracle was never far, never late, never missing. It has always been pulsing, like a frequency just outside of your current bandwidth. And now, the only thing left is to enter it, not by waiting, not by wishing, but by becoming. This is where knowledge becomes embodiment. So let's do something different. Let's not just talk about quantum shift, let's do it. Below is a vibrational ritual, deceptively simple but profoundly activating, designed to collapse your current state and align you with the timeline where your miracle is already reality. You can do it in silence, with your eyes closed, or even as you listen. But don't just listen, experience it. The quantum shift ritual, timeline entry, breathe to detach. Close your eyes and take one full conscious breath in and out. With that exhale, release everything you think you are, your name, your past, your role, your stories. Let it dissolve. Right now, you are not someone trying to change. You are pure awareness. Feel the version who has it now. Call into your awareness the version of you who is already living the miracle, healed, abundant, in love, free. Not the idea, the being. Feel their breath, their posture, their rhythm. Ask yourself, what is their energy like? And allow that frequency to begin to rise in you, as if tuning your entire body to match. Merge states. Imagine that version stepping closer until you're face to face. And now, breathe them in. Step into their body. Let your shoulders become theirs. Let their smile become yours. Let their heart, their mind, their timeline replace yours. There is no separation now, only remembrance. Command the field. In this merged state, repeat silently, I no longer search, I signal, I no longer chase, I collapse, I no longer hope, I am. And as you say it, feel the field respond, because it always does. Anchor with action. Before this ritual ends, choose one aligned action you can take today from this state. Not to make it happen, but to confirm. You've already become the one it happens for. This could be a conversation, a decision, a new way of responding. Let your behavior reflect your new identity. Now, breathe, and slowly come back. You've just collapsed your delay. You've entered the timeline that was always waiting for you. But the shift doesn't end here, because embodiment is repetition. The more you return to this frequency, this version of you, the more you normalize the miracle. And soon, it will feel so real, so obvious, so natural, that you'll forget it was ever missing. That's how you know the quantum has responded, because what once felt distant becomes inevitable. And if this entire journey lit something up inside you, if your cells are vibrating with possibility right now, then I want to offer you something sacred. A next step, not for more information, but for deeper initiation. It's a companion guide called Awaken Your Quantum Power. Inside it, you'll find practices, frameworks, and activations to help you embody the signal, anchor your state, and shift timelines on command. It's not a book of concepts. It's a practical portal, a continuation of everything you started here, but written to meet you at your next level. You'll find the link to access it in the pinned comment below. Let it be your commitment. Let it be your mirror. Let it be the frequency you keep returning to until it becomes who you are. Because this is no longer about manifesting a desire. This is about becoming a new point of attraction in the quantum field. This is about remembering what you've always known. You're not attracting your future. You're tuning into it. And we're just getting started.